Okay, so today's topic would be about teens and um, what age you feel like teens are appropriate to have sex, and is virginity still a thing, and things of that nature. Um, and what is sex, obviously, and sex education. Um, my personal experience, I first learned about sex in elementary school. But it wasn't really like too much of a in-depth conversation. It was just basically if someone ever touched you in the wrong places. It was mostly about rape. It wasn't really, I wouldn't say per se, about sex or things of that nature. And uh, yeah, teens. I don't want to say there's no perfect age for a teen to have sex, and I think virginity is should still be held sacred as long as possible. You shouldn't just want to give it up just because you feel like you love that person and you do anything for that person, but will that person do that for you? So yeah, I think virginity should try to be held as long as possible and into marriage if that's possible. Some teenagers grow into adults and they get married and they lose their virginity. Some don't. And I think that kind of plays on the household too. Uh, um, how your parents raise you and this that, and environmental influence. Whether it be friends, family, music, TV. Things of that nature. So I think everything plays a factor in on teens and how they how they reflect on sex and how whether they should have it as long and what is sex, what do you consider sex. uh I think that all depends on their mindset too. So yeah, I think sex education should be brought back in the schools. Well, it's probably already in schools. Why am I lying? It's probably already in schools, but I don't think it's like not an in-depth conversation. I think that's something your parents should go over with you, not just the school and not just your friends. Then kids need to have like a serious talk about it and not just play around with it, because they don't want to end up pregnant and they don't want to end up catching no diseases or anything like that. So I think it's a real serious conversation. Security coming in the front of the house. And it's not something that should be played with either. So I know growing up, my mom and my daddy, they gave me sex education talk. My family gave me sex education talk, so I learned about it at a pretty young age. So I wasn't too much worried about it, and I wasn't thinking about having sex back then. So I guess I was the good one for the most part. I think that virginity, yeah, it should be held sacred, and you shouldn't just want to give it up per se. And I think that sex is any form of sex, whether it be oral or I don't want to say all that, oral, anal, whatever, vaginal, all forms of sex, they should all be talked about, and everything needs to be explained, and every kids need to have an in-depth training, well, not training, but knowledge of what they're doing if they're going to actually go through with that action. So that's my take on it, on whether kids, well, I'll stop saying kids, teens, whether teens should have sex. And I don't think there's no perfect age for anybody. And some teens lose theirs at 11. Some teens lose at 13, and some lose at like 14, 15. So there's no perfect age. I just think that everybody needs to have a in-depth training on it, and they need to always stay protected. They always need to have condoms, whatever, if they're going to pursue that. So just to protect themselves, they need to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases and HIV and all that. So they need to have like a whole knowledge of what they're doing before they actually go through with the action. And you should never want to have sex just because someone tells you to. They should want to have sex because they want to, and not because they were forced to do it. And a teen should never feel like raped or anything. And if they are raped, they need to go and they need to tell someone that they were raped. They need to go to police, they go to family and friends, tell somebody that they were raped. So I think that everybody needs to have a knowledge and training and just an in-depth understanding of what they're doing before they do it.